Rijken.
My advice to you is seek professional help.
Hallo iedereen en welkom bij Ben je nog aan het kijken? De podcast waar ik, uw host Xander de Rijken, iedere week praat met gasten over hun favoriete televisieprogramma. Op 24 juni 2021 was er een speciaal moment in het Amerikaanse talkshow-landschap, want de laatste aflevering van Conan O'Brien, zijn dagelijkse talkshow Conan, werd uitgezonden op TBS. Daarbij nam Conan O'Brien, naar mijn mening een van de beste talkshow-hosts aller tijden, afscheid van 28 jaar aan late night om zich meer te focussen op podcasts en een nieuwe show op HBO Max.
Ben je nog aan het kijken?
Mijn speciale gast vandaag is een Amerikaanse comedian en schrijfster. Ze heeft 2 heel grappige boeken geschreven, Shitty Mom, The Parenting Guide for the Rest of Us en het succesvolle Dead People Suck, een grappige gids over hoe om te gaan met de dood en rouwen. Aanrader is ook haar show 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad en podcast The Jackie and Laurie Show. Intussen schreef ze ook voor The Late Late Show, Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn en de afgelopen 10 jaar voor Conan op TBS. Ter context, deze aflevering is opgenomen enkele weken na de laatste aflevering van Conan en een uur voor aanvang van mijn voorstelling in de Minaar in Gent. Dus als je een paar dingen hoort waarvan je denkt, ik snap die referentie niet, dat is de referentie. Een plezier om met een zeer grappige en sympathieke vrouw te kunnen spreken, Laurie Kilmartin.
Ben je nog aan het kijken?
Oh gosh, I started in 1987 in San Francisco. I'm from the Bay Area, and so I guess the people I saw that Dana Carvey was working comedy clubs. He was about to get cast on SNL at the time when I started seeing him. So maybe this is, I was like 18 or 19. And seeing him live in like little comedy clubs in San Francisco. And he was an incredible live act, and he still is. And that made me go, wow, maybe I could try that and never be as good as him, but, you know, still try it. And then I started going to other comedy shows and seeing comics that to me weren't very good. And that actually gave me the courage to try it more so than seeing someone who was great at it. It's like, wait, this guy isn't that funny. And he's working all over the place. All right, I could give it a shot. So.
Yeah, I saw your special 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Last year when you went on Conan to talk about your dead mom.
Yeah, sure. It's, you know what? Sadly, I have a specialty, but
yeah, it's a. I think you're done now.
I hope, unless there's like some long lost step parents that I wasn't aware of, you know, maybe Ancestry.com will bring up second families and third families. So I see some DNA analysis to bring me some cousins or something.
Yeah, people really have to like take care if you start hanging out with them more.
I will document your death in tweets for sure.
No, I wanted to say I love this show. It's really, really funny. I just wanted to know, being a comic myself, like how was the process of making that show? How did the audience respond early on to that material? Was it hard? I can't imagine in America how the audience responds to something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I had people walk out. What I was doing is I work like in a regular comedy club, and I do my regular stuff, having a kid, you know, men, whatever, you know, the topics we all talk about, and then I would try to go into my dad dying of lung cancer, and there's no segue for that. It was always difficult going in, and then sometimes people would, you know, be into it, and sometimes they were just like, we're here for dick jokes. Why is she making lung cancer jokes? So it was hit or miss. So then I decided, why don't I just do a separate stand-up show that's only jokes about this topic? And I named it 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad. Like, if you're in the room, you have no excuse. I told you what's coming, and I don't want you to get mad or start crying or whatever. So that's how it kind of came about. And then I just, for a couple months, I called up little weird venues and said, hey, can I pop over and, you know, fly out there and do a show? I just needed to put this up in front of regular audience members, not, you know, my fellow comics in LA that I could get to come see it and see how it played. And so once I had done that, I recorded it and put it out.
Yeah, it's an amazing 45-minute, 50-minute, just from start, him getting sick until him passing away in his funeral. It's a really good show. I was looking at it and I was just thinking, it's stronger than us, like in such a moment to still write jokes about it. Like, what was it a way of handling with it, like going, just expressing yourself about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like whenever you're, as a comic, you're presented with any situation, after a while, your instinct is like, oh, good, new clay to create this sculpture, right? And plus with death of a parent, there's so many absurdities that happen. And just the fact that someone's dying and the mail is still being delivered, like, you feel like this should be a national day of mourning, everybody. So the whole thing just feels crazy. So, if you're the kind of person that likes to take those situations and turn them into jokes, and most comics are, I mean, I see a lot of, comedians, joking about this stuff now. Mm-hmm. I think it helps you get through it, because at least you feel like there's some kind of purpose to it besides just this horrible loss, I can turn it into something. And I mean, the loss is going to exist whether you can find some comedy in it or not. So, you have that skill, you might as well. Why did you work all those one-nighters all over the place? Why did you put in all those hours if, in this time you can't do it, you choose not to, go for it, I guess.
A question that always pops up in my head when watching shows like that, or hearing material like that, did your dad ever get to hear some of those jokes? Did he know you were just like working stuff out about it?
Yeah, he had cancer for like 9 months before he died of it. So I was talking about it then. So yeah, I had told him some jokes, and he always liked my act, except when it was dirty, because he's Catholic. But but he didn't mind at all. I think he trusted my judgment pretty much. And I know I had written a book about parenting a couple of years before this whole thing with my dad happened. So I know he was like proud of me. So I think he would have been really proud that I wrote a whole book about him. And he's memorialized with something besides a gravestone. It's like there's a whole memoir, a comedic memoir about his passing. So I don't know what else I could do.
And was it different with your mom? Because that's how I discovered your act and your comedy and your Twitter account, because you did that amazing interview with Conan, talked about your mom passing away from COVID. Was it different because, it's COVID, you can't really hang out with people, you can't be really present, you can't really experience someone's last moments? Was it harder, different?
Yeah, it was pretty awful. I mean, especially since I'd had my dad's, now good death to look back on. He was in hospice for 9 days. He was conscious for almost all of it. So a whole bunch of friends and family came over, and everyone kind of came over and talked to my dad and said goodbye to him and paid tribute. And it was like a going away party, Yeah. And with my mom, she was hospitalized because her hip popped out of its socket. And after staying in the hospital for a couple of days, she had to go to a skilled nursing facility to learn to walk again. Yeah. And that should have been a week-long stay. But instead, that's COVID swept through that facility. And then she was hospitalized again, but now she was unconscious and she died from COVID in a week's time. So it was super quick. She was never conscious for any of it. And it, like you said, no one can visit. My sister and I had to lobby the hospital on social media to let us come visit in full PPE, and they finally relented. So we got to spend an hour with her in her room. But it was exactly the opposite of my dad's death. And it always, my mom she lived with me, and she was a tough person to live with, but I think I am probably too. And I was like, oh, she always got like the second best. Like my dad always, like my sister and I worshiped our dad, and with our mom, we were always like fighting her and stuff. And I just felt like, oh, she deserved a better death than what she got, as did everyone who died from this stupid virus. It really is super isolating for them. And I don't know what she was thinking. She was on morphine. She's on a ton of morphine, and they were just doing that, we'll give her morphine until she's gone sort of thing. And I know she knew we were there, because the only time she ever stirred the entire time she was unconscious was when my sister and I were in the room, and she kind of sat up and rolled her eyes up. And that was it. So we knew she knew, but it wasn't anything like my dad's. And it's not, she deserved it. She deserved better.
My best friend's dad passed away from dementia last year in November. And that was insane to talk about, because you couldn't explain to that man. We couldn't visit. Oh. The only thing he knows is nobody's visiting me for, I don't know why.
That's awful. It's awful.
Thank God we're comedians. We can, just stir it away or push it down with some jokes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's better than booze or drugs, guys. So give us a break if we make jokes.
And how is the comedy scene now in America? I follow you on Twitter, and I follow Jen. I'm a big fan of Jen Kirkman also.
Oh yeah. Jen's always stirring shit up.
Oh yeah, yeah, she really is. It's always hard to say to people, "Oh, you should follow Jen Kirkman. She's an amazing comedian." And you open the Twitter feed, and she's just like viciously devouring some club owner in Texas.
I know. It's great.
That's what I wanted to talk about a little, if you want, because I thought, like, here in Belgium and in the Netherlands, when COVID was over, making air quotes over, that there would be some quality control in comedy, as in the lesser good comedians, like the not so good comedians, would get some less playtime, just weeding out some stuff.
Yeah.
But in America, like the opposite is happening. Like, women aren't getting any stage time. Is that now a fucking thing?
It's crazy. There was, many clubs where when things started opening up, they were only booking male comics, like you'd have 12, you'd have 10 comics on the lineup that night, and they were all guys. And I was like, what is happening? And the crazy thing is, during the pandemic, when we were all performing on Zoom, that many more female comics than male comics performed on Zoom, the percentages. And, I think it's because, in my opinion, it's because a lot of these guys, what they want from stage time is actually, the connection afterwards with female audience members. And they're not going to get that on Zoom. They can't get laid after a Zoom set. So they're like, I'm not going to do it. I mean, Zoom really forced you to work on your craft, whatever that was, right?
Really?
Yeah, because you can't, 80% of stand-up comedy is a connection with the audience, eye to eye, and you're not going to make it because you can't. That's even because, when I'm looking in the camera, I can't see your face, right? Your face is like this far below, right? Yeah. So I'm either making this connection or I'm going like this, and now I'm not looking at the camera. So it's not remotely the same as stand-up, where you can, if you can look people in the eye while you're telling a joke, and that sort of pins them to their seat because they know you see them, so you're just missing so much of that. So all you could do is try jokes out, or there are other people like Judah Friedland that were only doing crowd work. Like, they would do special Zoom show crowd work, but you kind of really had to decide you're going all in on whatever craft you're working on. And a lot of the guys didn't want to do it. And some of those guys were the ones that getting booked back. And I remember I was sitting in one club, and I was on the show, But I remember just going, I know so many female comics who have a killer 10-minute set right now because they've been working this entire time. And on stage is some guy whose first 2 minutes of talking are about how he hasn't been on stage in a year. Like, hey, I know people that put in all the work. How come they're not on stage? Why is this person working out their rust? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It was really frustrating.
You're absolutely right. I didn't do it because I was scared about the timing of it all. I just couldn't because like 200 people via Zoom, a different connection, I was just like, it's basically talking to myself.
Yeah.
So I was kind of afraid from that. But I did write a new show during COVID. Are you working on a new show? Like, are you making a new special or a new hour?
I have an album coming out pretty soon. It was recorded at the Punchline in San Francisco before the pandemic. But and this is how long it takes me to listen to myself. It's
I know that.
But I'm almost done. It's coming out like maybe in 2 months or something. It's called Corset. If anyone wants to, be on the lookout for it. But I mean, I think and I like it. The notion of a new show every year seems like a very European thing and a UK thing as well. Mm-hmm. And I think in America, we're just always replacing material very slowly. So, I'll record again by the time I get a new hour, but I don't know that it's going to be done in a year. You know what I mean? Like I just when I was in Arizona last weekend, I did 3 chunks that were on the album that's about to come out. So technically those should be dead chunks, right? But I don't have enough time to fill the entire hour or 45 minutes or whatever. So, slowly I'll build up other ones and, take those to the curb. But for me, it's more joke replacement. And by the time I get to it, then I record it. But, it might be your way. It might be better. Just a wholesale dumping of material. But you must spend like a month or 2 bombing because you've got a whole new hour of stuff that's not super tested, right?
Oh yeah. You really, really don't want to work or write comedy in I don't want to say European way because I don't know how they do comedy in Germany or France. Okay. But like in Belgium and the Netherlands, the Dutch speaking part where I perform in, you have to know the title of your show 1 year ahead.
Oh my God, what?
And, and you have 6 months to write a new show. But that's how I do it, literally me, because I just want to start from scratch. I just want to do 10 minutes, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Yeah.
I can play it for a year and a half and it's done. Everybody has seen it. And I drop it up. So the insanity of it, like I have written, I've been doing comedy for 15 years. I've been doing it since my 18. I have written 11 shows.
Wow.
And they are 2 hours long because if an American comes to Belgium or Netherlands, people are kind of disappointed. It only takes an hour.
God, how do people sit for 2 hours? That's insane.
Yeah. We don't have that in our culture. If an audience in Belgium or the Netherlands leaves a theater before 10 p.m., they kind of feel ripped off.
Wow. Oh my God. I can't wait to be an incredible disappointment in your country one day.
But like the people who love English language comedy know how it works. Like nobody, but if you put it for just a regular, Dutch crowd, they would be, really? It's like 9-10? Like, this is it? Okay.
And meanwhile, I'm like, I went long. I did 20 extra minutes, you guys. What are you complaining about?
I do want to talk about Conan a little bit, if that's okay. Not about about the man himself, although I love the man himself, of course. You started writing for Conan in 2010 when the show started. Did you do any like TV jobs before that, writing jobs?
Yeah, I had a couple. I worked on Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn, which was
amazing.
Yeah, it was a show on Comedy Central, and it was like a round table, with 4 comedians, and Colin was hosting. So that was my first writing job.
Amazing show.
Oh yeah, you got it out there then. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm a comedian, I have seen the show.
Okay,
but, you know, it's not that big in Belgium. Nothing's big in Belgium, but yeah, I know, I love it. I miss that kind of shows.
I do too, and it was very of its time. You know, I'm not sure how much of it, if you know, you watched it now. Comedy reflects the time that it's done, and especially when you're talking about current events. So. But, you know, it was really fun to do. And I'm always surprised. I'm still surprised Comedy Central canceled it, you know, but I think they were sort of embarrassed by the coarseness of it because they were so invested in the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And it was like that was winning Emmys and Peabodys and stuff. And then our show was like a little rougher. And I think that they kind of were like embarrassed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but what is coarse? I think Joe Rogan is fucking coarse, but you know, like. Well,
yeah, I don't know. We never got the promotion that the Daily Show got, you know. Yeah. So half the time people didn't know we're on the air, and you know, people that would like the Daily Show may not like Tough Crowd because it kind of there were 2 different sensibilities. So you needed to find the Tough Crowd audience and let them know, hey, this is on right out at 11:30. Yeah. You know? So I don't know. It was, I think it was, we all thought it was prematurely canceled, and it was right before YouTube started taking off. And if we had like one more year where you could start, you know, getting clips out and letting people see just little, you know, see it on MySpace or whatever was popular at that point, I think it probably would have taken off, but oh well.
Yeah. And how did you get started at Conan then? Like, did you get, you know, picked up because you did some write work on Tough Crowd, or?
No, it was, and then I worked on a couple other shows in between then. And Tough Crowd ended in 2005. And then I started it in 5 years later at Conan. And in between that, I had a kid and worked on a couple other shows. No, I just had done packets for Conan on every iteration of his TV life. I did one for late night, didn't get hired. I did one for the Tonight Show, and then the Tonight Show went down. And so when they were hiring again for TBS, I did the 3rd one, and that one seemed to work.
Okay, cool. And you did it for 10 years. You've seen the show, even in that iteration, change 2 times, I think. Went to the half hour format, and then the COVID version of Conan. How much of a change was that? Like, did it change the writing? You had to write from home, of course, from the COVID stuff.
You did change your writing. I mean, because I was a monologue writer, monologue jokes. And so there was no monologue. I think we tried one for maybe 2 weeks. And then, you know, it's got to be incredibly unsatisfying to tell a monologue to, you know, no one, basically. There's no audience, right? So he kind of like scratched that. And so, you know, it was hard. It was for me and Brian Kiley, who's the other mono writer. We loved our routine, you know, and, you know, our routine of writing a bunch of jokes, then meeting with Conan, then writing more jokes, and then meeting again. And it was a lot of fun. And now we're all writing isolated from each other. We don't get to meet, you know. I mean, the most fun part of working for Conan is hanging out with him, and you know, especially when he's shitting on jokes you wrote. I mean, there's nothing better. You know, so I'm like, oh, we're not getting any of that, and you know, we really enjoyed the whole process of it, and so that was taken away, and. You know, and I just missed hanging out with people. You know, we had our little Zoom writers meeting every day, but you know, that's not the same, you know. So, and when it was the last 2 weeks of shows, there was a studio audience, and I went to 2 of them, I think. And we could only have limited amount of staff there because of whatever, population restriction or something. But it was like it kind of felt like the old times, but it wasn't exactly, because again, we couldn't all hang out together and meet. So, it's a bummer that we didn't get to have like a big ending show like we all would have liked to, because of
I was gonna ask about that, because I did love those last 2 weeks, because you just felt the appreciation and the love from everybody who worked on that show and was guest on that show.
Yeah.
But at the end, I was like, oh, he deserved bigger. Like this fucking COVID thing, he deserved a lot bigger than this.
He did. And it was cool because, on Twitter, at least in the States, for like 2 days, people were just like posting tons of sketches they loved, or, anytime, a lot of comics were posting their sets. And, but everyone had like positive, happy, upbeat memories of Conan, and, audience members, fans, having grown up with him, having grown up sneaking downstairs at 12:30 in the morning to watch Conan while their parents were asleep. Like that was really cool. It was almost like he had died or something,
Yeah.
But it was neat to see all this like positivity. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely, for what he accomplished and the like comedy legacy he's left online for anyone to enjoy. Most of it is so much of it is timeless, because it's just silly sketches and craziness and weirdness. It's not, it's not tied to the current events of the day, which go back to 1990. When did he start? 93, I think, Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot there for that people can watch in 50 years from now and they'll still get it, because it's based on, human stupidity. So that's cool.
I always wondered, like, did the show know, or did he know that he was pretty big in Europe, because he was one of the only talk shows that got through on European television?
I think so. I mean, as far as I know, they knew, I mean, he was, always, he came to Finland and Ireland and Germany. And so he went to a lot of places. So I assume they knew. And yeah.
Because we, I don't know from the Netherlands, but here in Belgium, we don't get NBC. We got NBC Europe, which was the channel, the channel National Geographic at midnight changed to a channel NBC Europe, which was just a live feed from NBC. So we never did get like the talk show ahead of Conan, but we did get Conan himself. So I saw Late Night with Conan O'Brien when I was 17 in 2005, the Walk of Lexus Ranger lever, an interview with him and Jeff Goldblum. So
in the what? In the what?
With an interview with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah.
And those are always amazing, because it's just some weird, raw sexuality.
Don't ask. You know what? If those 2 feet off each other, you don't ask, you just enjoy the chemistry.
I did want to talk a little bit about the writing on the show, because you said you wrote on a monologue, and what I loved, Conan was never really political.
Yeah.
And especially the last 5 years, thank God, like I couldn't see a monologue about Trump anymore. So I love that all his humor was just like self-deprecating or just silly, fun, good nonsense. Was that something he asked, like, to write in that direction, like keep it away from?
I mean, I started finding Trump monologues when I would watch other shows doing them, like, exhausting.
Yeah, they are.
And after a while, you're like, what is this achieving anyone's goal? I don't know that it is. I have no idea, but yeah, it was hard in that time, because Trump just was all encompassing in terms of what the news stories were, because he was causing all the news stories. And then with other presidents, they were sort of being president, and then they'd recede in the background and a Kardashian would pop up or another celebrity would pop up, right? And so you could focus on different things. But these last 4 years, everything was related to him. Every celebrity story was related to him. Either they were angry at him or they were a supporter and you hated him. And it was really hard to find places where, you could just make a kind of a dumb joke that Conan, Brian Kiley used to say the monologue is Conan's time alone with the audience, right? For the rest of the show, there's either a sketch he's, participating in, or he's interviewing a celebrity. So they only get their time with Conan. It's like 7 minutes up top, right? And they're there for Conan, right?
Yeah.
So the jokes are kind of like almost an excuse for, just giving him a few things to say while he connects with the audience,
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that he's not trying to turn the tides of an election every night, he's just trying to connect with the crowd and give them their time with him and his time with them, because he really feeds off that energy. And then you can go into the rest of the show. So that it got a lot trickier after Trump was elected to find those places in the news that were free from that kind of vitriol or would get people in the audience like in a bad mood, or instead of just excited for the show.
I think I heard him say on a podcast, like my show comes back like every 5 years in a dumber, smaller form, dumber, smaller platform. But I kind of get like but it gets better, the last 2 years, 3 years, he's been doing his better interviews on the podcasts.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. I don't really, it's a shame we're losing the best talk show hosts on TV, but he's been doing his better work somewhere else for a pretty long time.
The interviews and stuff for sure, because they're also just more satisfying. And, with every talk show, you see that like some of the guests, you're like, who are these people? And they're boring. And the thing they're promoting is bad. So, like, why did they get to be on TV? But it's just part of the structure of a late night show is a boring person gets to be on TV promoting their terrible show, right? So for him, I think, it's cool to just go, I want to talk to this person for an hour. And he's so funny. He can pull stuff out of anybody. But definitely, I'm hoping with the HBO show, he still gets to, do the kind of comedy that he really likes as well, that people really like from him, that isn't interview based, that it's, sketches or silly stuff or him on a remote, he's so funny when he's just bopping around. So he's just thrown into a different location and starts talking to people. So
are you tagging along to HBO Max, or is that just undecided?
It's sort of, we're trying to maybe like help out and pitch it, this fall, but it's up to like, it's not 100%, but I mean, if I was HBO Max, I would be like, please go and be on my network. Like there would be no maybe about it,
From the last 10 years, if you had to pull some favorite moments or favorite jokes from the 10-year run, is there something that pops up immediately?
Well, you know what? We put together this idea, which we didn't do, but maybe I can.
Those are always the best. The best sketches are those who didn't get through.
Well, it wasn't a sketch. I searched all the monologues for Michelle Bachmann jokes, and then I put them all in a row, and it was like such an interesting story of. She was a Republican politician. Completely crazy, right? Yeah. And her husband, okay, they love gay conversion therapy. They're very, very anti-homosexual, right?
Yes.
And that to me, that always means, oh, somebody's gay. When someone's really I'm like, why is this on your mind? Okay. And her husband many people have suggested that he is actually gay based on appearance, mannerisms, etc., and the fact that he's virulently anti-homosexual. Like it all kind of adds up into a certain way. So there's a series of jokes that are sort of like hinting at that, while also and there's other jokes that are about her crazy political stances and stuff. And then you kind of follow her career it was the 2012 primary, as she was hot for a second. Like, I think she won one of the early primaries or a straw poll. And then she said something, and then she bombed at a debate, and then there's the decline, and then the jokes stop. And it's interesting to use a late night monologue to track someone's career in comedy or someone's effect on stand-up comedy. And we also put one together with Anthony Weiner. I don't know if you remember that guy.
That's the guy who accidentally showed his penis or didn't accidentally show his penis.
Yes. And then went to rehab and then did it again. Like he's, and he was the one where his hard drive had a bunch of Hillary emails on it because his wife was her right-hand person and she saved stuff just out of convenience and so that ended up tipping the election to Trump. He plays a pivotal role in everything that happened, but his role is by accident all the time. Yeah. But also his sort of like, no one knew who he was, and all of a sudden, his last name is Weiner, which is in the States. Okay, you're right. So there's all these jokes, and then he goes away, and then he comes back when he's running for mayor, and then he gets caught, and then he's texting a picture of his erection while his son is next to him in bed, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" So then he goes away. But if you were like a famous person for a time, like a blip, a news cycle, it's you should request all of the jokes about you in order so you can see how the impression we had of you, we as the public, for a certain amount of time. I don't know. I thought it was really fascinating. I'd love to be able to string them all together.
I think there's like a 45 jokes on Michelle Bachmann.
It might be about 45 jokes. Yeah. Because they tell a story too. The jokes tell the story of this person's impact on American pop culture for a time.
Thank you so much. This was really fun. You're
Thank you, Xander.
Amazingly funny. I'm glad I discovered you last year, thanks to Conan. And I'm excited for the new special.
Thank you. Me too. Hey, did I say your name right?
That's absolutely correct. I never know, like with Americans, because in Belgium, the X is a X klank, like my name. It is Xander.
Oh, okay. Xander.
But that's okay. Yeah. But okay. I don't want to have Americans pronounce it like that, and it just sounds like I'm some Polish like potato farmer or something.
You mean we don't do it well? Wow.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's good.
We don't do much well, honestly. I don't want to correct Americans. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I understand. They get ornery.
No, I'm. If COVID allows it, and I don't think it's going to happen. I was going to come to Los Angeles for 2 weeks in December.
Oh wow, neat!
But we'll see. Like, if you have a show, I will stop by to see it.
Definitely contact me. We'll see what we can put together.
Perfect. Have a great day. It's morning there, I guess now. It's 10 a.m.
10:40, and you have a great show. I know you have a show in like 18 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 in a row. So
oh my God.
It's gonna be a long day. But thank you again. This was really fun. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye.
Have a good one. Okay, bye.
Dit was Ben je nog aan het kijken voor deze week. Voor de geïnteresseerden, clips van Conan staan op YouTube en teamcoco.com. Laurie, haar boeken zijn nog te verkrijgen op haar site of Amazon. Haar shows en podcasts zijn te horen op Spotify. Ik dank jullie voor het luisteren. Aarzel niet om iets te droppen op Facebook, Instagram, Twitter of onze Discord als je genoten hebt en de show wilt delen met uw volgers. Ik was Xander de Rijke, jullie horen mij volgende week weer terug en dan binge we weer iets anders in Ben je nog aan het kijken.
Met Xander de Rijke.
Bye.